All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to make a new video about the Strokes' new album, but I've got into it this week after getting the CD. A bit old school, but I enjoyed listening to it in the car. I tried listening to it when it first came out on their Trip to Truck Festival, but I think my mind was a bit elsewhere. And I was once told that the CD actually has more sound quality on it. Shout out to a Lonely Gimmick, Sam, if he's listening, who said that. So I fully appreciated it when I was driving along last night in the car. And someone on Thread said they'd like to see me do a bit of a video on Julian's evolution in terms of lyrics, which I thought was an interesting idea, but I'm not going to do it for the whole of his career. In fact, I'm just going to do it for one song, really. But yeah, it's interesting timing. I was talking to a friend of the pod about the album, and they made an interesting point about the Strokes, saying they have to kind of like switch things up quite a lot between albums, as a lot of people kind of rip them off. So whatever they come out with on their albums is going to kind of get heavily imitated, which I thought was an interesting point. And then when I listened to Lonely in the Future again, it all kind of made sense. It was like, oh yeah, that's kind of what the song's about, really. Overall, at the minute, tracks two and three are the ones that are getting me. Dine and Dash and Lonely in the Future. I'll talk a bit more about the album in general at the end, I guess. But I want to focus on Lonely in the Future because I think it's really interesting in terms of the lyrics. And today I was actually listening to Rick Rubin's podcast with Albert Hammond Jr., which is excellent, by the way. I'm only about a third of the way through, but it's a great listen, and they actually talk about this song at the beginning after listening to it. So we'll get Albert's insight on it.
Wow, this guitar sounds so cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was I did that in Hawaii.
Nice.
Yeah. I was just thinking that that song has had a long journey.
How did it start? What do you remember?
It was a song I had that I sent the band a long time ago. And then Julian liked it and we jammed on it at like I want to say 2019 at this festival in Paris. But then it took its own life in Costa Rica because it had multiple parts and you were like, actually that chord progression is verse and chorus. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then the melody kind of grew and the breakdown. And then I think that guitar part makes the chords feel like they're not just continuing, you know?
Yeah.
Or just even the way it starts. It's like, what's happening? But it's so catchy. It's very cool how this like thing that's put together over time, little bits here and there, but it just sounds so fluid as a song.
It sounds free, like it just kind of happened.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it's like all these little things that kind of like, because you could beat the shit out of a song
Yeah.
and be like, I killed it. How did I kill it?
Yeah.
But it's the opposite. It feels like this one like became free.
Yeah.
It feels like it needed help to get the shell off or something.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's actually an Albert song that he came up with the song itself and then sent it to the band as he put it. And then Julian liked it and put some lyrics over it. But yeah, should we read the about? I mean, it's kind of almost ruined my video, this about, I've realized. But the song by on Genius website says, Lonely in the Future finds the Strokes reflecting on and heavily criticizing the current state of the music industry in our modern era. Throughout the track, lead singer Julian Casablancas demonstrates a strong sense of hubris, throwing disses at popular figures such as Harry Styles and Anthony Fantano. With the 2026 release of Reality Awaits, the Strokes have now been making music for 25 years, starting in 2001 with their debut album Is This It? Julian takes his time to consider the impact he's left on the industry with his music and points out how other artists still take inspiration, just as he did when the band was in its early stages. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at the lyrics themselves then. I do have the CD here, which has the lyrics in, but it's much easier to share via the internet, which is more, I don't know, it's a story of modern society, isn't it? If you like. But yeah, obviously we prefer the physical copies, don't we? In a way. So let's have a look at the lyrics. I mean, it's a great opening. It's a great opening to the song as well. The 8-bit version's cool to listen to as well if you've seen it on YouTube. Or if you haven't seen it on YouTube yet. I did that yesterday. I had that years ago when I was a kid. I didn't want to do it years ago, but I did. I did that yesterday when I was a kid. So yeah, reflecting on his start in music. I don't actually get this reference. Weekend, I like your outfit. So the Weekend guy, uh, presumably he wore something similar to Julian, or something Julian wore back in the day. Maybe someone can enlighten me in the comments about that one. YOLO, you only live once. So the song "You Only Live Once" kind of came around before the YOLO acronym kind of started trending or became a thing. I think that's what it's referring to. Dude kept the beat as it was. See, as that bio suggested, that's a reference to Harry Styles. I remember Julian and Albert making a comment about that at the time. I think even when they played live, they talked about it. Just like it was a common kind of progression or beat, as he puts it here, that the Strokes would throw around. They found it funny that kind of it influenced a massive pop song like that. Another one I don't really know the reference to is John Legend. That's Josh Groban. Um, again, I'm not overly familiar with what that means. I think Josh Groban's a musician as well. Uh, so yeah, maybe someone in the comments again can tell me what that means. I guess I'm flattered, maybe. All good. We all steal, baby. You all ready for the next fad? Chris Hedges next. So I think that's an interesting one as well. From what I can tell, uh, that means can we start if we're going to start like ripping off Julian's ideas or taking inspiration from his ideas, maybe look at the political ones. I think that's what Julian would like people to take from his music now, is what I'm inferring from that. I think that's a big inspiration behind his songwriting for the Strokes. Now I've mentioned that before, but I think that kind of gives him motivation. Is kind of enlightening people, if you like, or pointing them in the right direction for what he believes people should be looking at in terms of sources for politics, etc. Then, yeah, back to the chorus. And it's interesting, I watched a video not so long ago about how the Strokes kind of change intonation on the melody with stuff. And I think this is a good example of it, where they'll just change the melody slightly on each line, or the intonation of it, if that's the right technical term. Kind of keeps things interesting. You can notice it within Stroke songs. So yeah, just lifting that piece of insight of someone else, but you don't get it. It's a pity. Maybe you'll catch up sooner rather than later, baby. It's lonely in the future. So are we saying there that Julian is saying like, as someone who doesn't lift things off other people anymore? Did he say he did when he was a kid? All good, we all steal, baby. Uh, is that saying that he does it as well? I don't know. But I think he's maybe saying like the people who, break new ground are trying to create something new, are the ones that are lonely, looking towards the future of something rather than, taking not just inspiration, but kind of lifting things from the past. I mean, this might be all quite obvious to people, but it kind of like started to make sense to me today when I started thinking about the lyrics a bit differently. And it makes the song more interesting. Like, I do like the song. I did like the song anyway. It's kind of growing on me. And then with this element and the idea of him just reflecting on all of this, obviously makes it a very interesting song, I think. I do think Julian and the likes of Alex Turner are kind of masters in writing growers of songs. Obviously, there's more examples of people, but like in terms of this kind of era, if you like, very layered songs, aren't they? Especially with the Strokes. I've seen mixed reviews, but I think generally people that I know, maybe at first like it didn't hit them, but like it's the more you listen to it, the more you're gonna like it. It's the old white bread thing in it that I think Ricky Gervais talked about, where it's not such a bad thing if you don't like it at first. Like it's more of a refined taste, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that sounds very pretentious. I don't know. But his point was like, if you get white bread's great for about 30 seconds, and then you get bored of it. So yeah, like songs like this, or albums like this, kind of grow on you in a good way in terms of the way they've got different things going on and that they're layered. But you might hate the album as well. You might think it's a bit rubbish. So fair play. Get in the comments if you do. And the lyric that's got probably the most attention from the song is about the reviewer Anthony Fantana, that you've probably seen already. So Julian says in the chorus, I heard that 20 effing years ago I did Fantana, word for word when I was a kid. So we'll deal with that first. So I think he's saying there that the criticism, I mean, people that don't know that Anthony Fantana, for people that don't know, Anthony Fantana is a modern day music reviewer with millions of subscribers, I think. Uh, who, yeah, who listen to his reviews on music, and he's had a bit of a mixed relationship with Julian, basically. I think when I watched, he posted like his history of music reviews on the Strokes, or his history of Strokes reviews on their albums, and there are some interesting takes. Like he thinks Angles is better than, or like he thinks Angles is a lot better than First Impressions of Earth, which I wouldn't agree with. Um, some good moments on Angles, but First Impressions of Earth is much more like cohesive album with stronger songs, I think. Anyway, yeah, I think yeah, the high point in the relationship when Fantano was really dishing out the praise on the last album, New Abnormal. Julian went on his podcast to be interviewed by him. I mean, I've talked about this before, but I found that a hard watch myself. I felt like Fantana wanted to keep things extremely dry. Uh, I felt like Julian maybe wanted to have a laugh and stuff, but Fantana wasn't really having it. So I found it quite. I don't know. I didn't watch that one myself all the way through. But anyway, since then, Fantana's basically been quite critical of the Void and now the Strokes, particularly the auto tune, which I've not mentioned yet, to be fair. But like, yeah, we'll stick to this for now. So what he's saying in the lyrics is like whatever Fantana's criticisms are now, Julian's already heard them before. He's saying heard them word for word when he was a kid. I mean, does that mean in general with the Strokes that anything they've brought out, that they've had the same criticism? I think around Room on Fire they got a fair bit of criticism, didn't they? I don't know. But what kind of criticism is Fantana giving? I know he hates the auto-tune, so he's saying that it's spoiling the songs. Maybe people were saying the same back in the day about the distorted vocals. Probably were, to be fair. When I spoke to Gordon Raphael, he said like people at the record company couldn't really hack it. Like they wanted it to sound more slick and professional. So maybe that's what it means. Um, and then yeah, stick to the technical because that's great, but you would not recognize art in any age. And yeah, I heard him make this point on Joe from Idol's podcast that Julian went on, and he basically said he brought up Fantana, or someone brought up Fantana, and he's like, yeah, I enjoy his technical videos where he talks about how things were made, but I don't think he has a clue about art. That's basically what he said here. I mean, it's a bit mad, isn't it? I suppose musicians will have written about critics before, but to actually make it in the lyrics is, I don't know if you're Fantana, it's going to be like, I don't know, it's pretty mad. Must be mad for him. Like he's just a bloke with a camera on YouTube and he's suddenly appearing in Strokes lyrics. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't agree. Yeah, I didn't agree with some of his takes on the Void, Fantana, but opinion's opinion in it. I don't think. I don't know really. Can you say his opinion is irrelevant on art, or they wouldn't recognize it? I mean, again, it's just an opinion. It's just an opinion on Julian's half in it. So, uh, yeah, there we go. Interesting stuff. And then, yeah, is there anything else we can take? On the first date we had, I jumped in the water. Yeah, the costume. Yeah, the costume is soaking wet. I'd like to dry it. I mean, that makes me think of the photo shoot the Strokes did in the swimming pool, but I don't know if that has any relevance. Um, join me as I pray for the grace. Join me as I pray for the grace to be merciful. Help me not lay waste because it's not their fault. I don't care. I don't care. Anybody try. Name a place I'm there. So he's trying to say you don't want to criticize people for taking influence from him and the Strokes. Anybody name a place on there? Maybe he's happy to confront people on it or whatever, or happy to have conversations about it. Is that what he's saying? I ain't sure. But yeah, just I thought that was really interesting to look at the lyrics, and they've really grabbed me. The other song that's grabbed me at the minute is Dine and Dash, the second song. I won't do a deep dive into that yet, but the whole thing like still growing on me. Like, then a lot of people are talking about the fruits of conquest. I've seen people talking about that. I like the singles personally. Maybe obviously don't feel as interesting now when you listen to the album because the other ones are grabbing me. I feel like going shopping fits better within the album, but I don't mind Falling Out of Love, but it is slightly skippable, I'd say at the minute. But hopefully it's one of those albums where you kind of just appreciate different songs at different times, if you like. And I'll get into the other songs a bit more as I go along and maybe dig into them. I'm sure there's really interesting stuff in those lyrics as well, but I didn't want to be here all day, did we? Um, so yeah, interested to get your take on things. Are you into the album or not? And did you recognize kind of the relevance of these lyrics straight away? Or did it take a bit of time like it did for me? Have you say in the comments? Actually, yeah, I forgot to say, I was going to mention the auto tune because obviously that's a big topic of discussion. Personally, it's not like annoyed me listening to the album. Kind of just appreciate it's like an artistic decision that they've taken. Personally, I'd rather not have it on there, I think. I'd rather probably keep the voids with the auto tune and just keep the strokes separate and wax and distortion on if you want for all time's sake. But maybe leave the auto tune. But it's not ruining my experience of the album. But it seems to be triggering an awful lot of people. But it also seems a bit of like it's a bit of an open goal to criticize them with as well, isn't it? Like if you're not really into the album, you can just say, oh, well, and if people are not really feeling the album, they can just say, the auto tune in it and just hammer them for that. It's a bit like someone just sent me a video again, Lonely Gimmick. If you're watching, just sent me a video of someone kind of taking the Mickey, like saying how last night would sound if the Strokes did it now, and loads of auto tune all over it. But that's kind of the same criticism that Arctic Monkeys get now, isn't it? Like some of it's funny to be fair, like like video pretending to be Alex Turner, like crooning some of the old Arctic Monkey songs. But yeah, it just seems to be the criticism that they both get now. Uh, the way they've progressed, people people want to make light of it. Um, but in terms of actual criticism, maybe it's a bit lazy, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like not to people's taste, the auto tune. And like I say, I I like to see them do what they want to do. Same with Arctic Monkeys, like I'm so pleased that they're doing what they want to do artistically, like and not overly concerned about crowd pleasing. And obviously, like the Strokes seem to be doing that with this album as well, taking it somewhere they want it to go, um, and still creating these layered growers, if you like. But maybe you think I'm just glazing them up. So yeah, if so, get hammering me in those comments, as I'm sure people will do if they feel the need to. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear if anyone's got any theories about the auto tune and whether there's a bigger meaning behind Julian using it, whether it's like a bit of a comment, a social comment or anything. But or maybe he just thinks it's cool to use it, or it sounds cool. But yeah, just thinking about the cover as well, the album artwork kind of fits into the idea of like imitation and influence. Um, because like the image used is the story behind it is kind of someone lifted it from a Marlboro campaign back in the day. Um, and kind of used it for their own artwork, and then it's been used again by the Strokes via Promised Land. Is it Johan? um, who they work a lot with nowadays. I think he did the visuals at Coachella, and probably is on tour, to be fair. And also the Going Shopping video, he was I think he directed it maybe. He was heavily involved with it. So it's interesting stuff on that front. But yeah, in terms of how I view the whole album and where and how I compare it to other albums, I'd say compared to last album, I find it more interesting on the whole. I was saying to someone, I think there's more of a focus with this one, like they've dug deeper into their ideas. And I can see myself listening to this a lot more than the new Abnormal. Like I enjoyed the new Abnormal, but maybe there was something missing for me with that. I don't know really. Like it was maybe lacking some direction. I don't know. Or maybe that's speaking in hindsight. I feel like if we're looking at the Strokes albums post First Impressions of Earth, if I was going to listen to them today, I'd probably want to listen to Come Down Machine and Reality Awaits, I think. I think they're the most interesting ones, with some good moments on the others, basically. Or maybe I'm being harsh. There seems to be a bit more of a cohesive idea on this one. But again, interested to hear your thoughts, so get in the comments.